Hello, welcome. So, have you ever gone to bid a job and you were expecting about a 25% profit margin? And then the job closes out many months later and it has basically deflated to about 8%. That can be so frustrating. And trust me, you are not the only contractor that happens to. So today we really are going to be talking about the four biggest leaks that we can see and how we can plug those gaps so that you can actually feel confident with your bidding process and can keep that money for you. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Maybe, hold on. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So today we are talking about estimating versus actual. And why do you want to listen to me? Well, we at All Accounting specialize in contractors that are doing anywhere from 500,000 to 10 million. And we really like to dig into their numbers and help them understand what the heck is going on, especially around job costing. When you reach that 1 million mark, things become a lot more nuanced, and those larger jobs are really important to look at those micro profit and losses. So it all starts though with estimating, and we want to make sure that we're bidding that and closing the loop on it so that we can continue to gain insight and review better for the next time that we go out and bid a job. The bidding trap, why estimates really fall short. So it's really great when someone accepts your bid. It's like so exciting. You've spent months, sometimes a week, sometimes months over how much this project is going to cost and dialing it all in. And that is great. However, that's only a part of what's actually happening. Then you have the real world and all of these things kind of fly in. And sometimes we are bidding the job from old historical data, so looking at last year's materials. As we know, with this last couple of years, inflation has been crazy, tariffs have been crazy. It's really important to make sure that you're dialing in with real data, real time data versus a year, 2 years, information that hasn't been updated. And then when we're talking about labor rates, we want to make sure that things may just be based on base wages. There's a lot more complexity to it, and we'll kind of talk about that here in a little bit. And then one of the biggest things is closing that loop and saying, this is what the estimations happened. This is what actually happened. And where are those final costs and variances happening? And how can we estimate even better? So what are these four leaks that we can see? It's the missing burden rate. This is going to be your wages. But the burden part is your employer taxes. So anything that the employer is required to look at. Workers' compensation. Do you provide insurance? Do you allow the people to take a little break from the job and ensure that they are well rested and mentally stable? Then we can look at material costs. If we aren't looking and updating our supplier information into whatever source we are estimating from, one, we could be losing time in just getting the correct information, but maybe a number was off, maybe hanging door that was $1,000 this time was actually $800 a year ago, and so you're using that $800 rate, and so we want to close that gap. How can we ensure that is incorporated correctly? And then looking at the undercounted overhead, so allocating certain things that aren't directly related to the business, but that do in fact come into play. Are there vehicles that are used specifically, or once in a while for projects. Equipment that you have on hand. Maybe you don't use something all of the time. Maybe there's a lift that you use on certain heights in deck replacements, but not all of the time. So you need to make sure that you're allocating that equipment. You may not be going out and renting it, but it's important to ensure that it is part of your figures. And then the most important piece, broken feedback loop. Coming back and realizing, let's look at the old information, those estimates, and what actually happened. Did we order more material? Was more labor involved with it? Do we need to do a change order? And so just making sure that you're actually reviewing things. Let's dive a little bit more into that burden labor. Labor is one of the highest costs that you will have within your business. Sometimes if you're a general contractor, your subcontractors will do that, and so they've already fixed those things in. But if you are using someone hired as a W-2, there are a lot of nuances that come into the actual rate. So you may have hired them for $35 an hour, but that's not what you're actually paying as the employer. That is just their base salary. There are a lot of other things that come into play, such as FICA, FUTA, SUTA. What are these acronyms? So this is our employment. The SUTA and FUTA is going to be unemployment for our state or federally. Workers' compensation, that's going to range depending on what type of work you do and the risk involved. In Washington, we have codes for everything and what type of code that individual is. And if you're a roofer, the workers' comp is a lot higher than it is if you were a landscaper. A roofer may have $1 or more on their rate above that $35. So you have to make sure that those are incorporated. Always keeping that risk down so that you can have the best optimal insurance rate. And then, do you provide insurance with them? Retirement matching or vacation? And all of these things add up and are important to provide, but it is a real cost for the business. So just ensuring that that is incorporated into all of your numbers. So typically you will see that your true labor costs is going to be about 1.3 times more, 1.3 or 1.5 times more than the 35 base rate. So just keep that in mind. That would be your estimated cost for labor. And then, yeah, field equipment, if there's anything that you reimburse them for and that the company doesn't provide for them, ensuring that those are also included. Estimating margin versus realized margin. This is the bid day. So gross profit is expected and submitted with a proposal. So this is where we have a lot of assumptions. We feel like everything is perfect in the world. You have ideal weather, 0 hiccups, everyone is on time, no one's sick. Everything is ready and available. You don't have to sub out any materials or anything like that. It's just running smooth. And a lot of times we may bid with that. But realistically, we have more field trips or scope of work has gone out from what originally was quoted, and we haven't billed out for it. We haven't invoiced the customer for it. And so all of these things can creep up, and that's really where those profit margins begin to collapse. And so ensuring that we're reviewing on a regular basis what's actually happening. Building that closed loop bidding. I think it's an important piece just in general, making sure that you're showing up for your numbers. When you're smaller, things can be worked out in your bank account, and it's pretty easy to see what flows ins and outs. And you have smaller jobs and you just can keep track of things a lot better. But when you are in that 500,000 to 10 million, things are just different places. You may have different software for your estimating, and that integrates into this software for your inventory tracking. And we have all of these softwares, and do they connect and do they not? And just ensuring that are things tied up how they should be. And so creating a regular cadence of reviewing that information, it's just so important, because if you don't, you could be working wrong estimates for 6 months, a year, 2 years, and just going and working so hard, but all like you started out with having a great profit margin, 25%. Just over time, things were eroding. Where you put your focus, where you put your mind to analyzing certain numbers is really where you can dial in and ensure that things are in the direction that you want to go. If you have no focus on it, everything is going to be loosey-goosey and turn into financial chaos, and that is going to erode your bank account and put you out of business. That is it for today. I hope that this information can help you in your estimating process. And if you're still kind of, I don't know what to do, and I don't know about what I'm even looking at, I have my estimate, I have everything that showed up on that job, but I don't know how to see what is what. I don't know how to calculate my profit margin. We are here ready to help, and would love to hear your story and see about working with your company. So our information is here, help@allaccounting, and I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time. Bye.